How's it going, everybody? Today we are going to be talking once again about fake news. Now, I know that many of you might refer to fake news as small clickbait blogs that write things that they literally just make up because they know people will share it and they make money doing so. Some people might refer to fake news as, CNN or the mainstream media, like we see Donald Trump do when he points out the cameras, say at the Phoenix rally, saying they're all fake news. But there exists a kind of in-between. People that are publicly known, have large followings, and produce large quantities of unverified claims and accusations, and sometimes still write for large publications. So you might be familiar with someone named Louis Mensch or another person, Claude Taylor. If you're not, they are two notoriously anti-Trump writers and, dare I say it, conspiracy theorists. But that's not my opinion. That's coming from other sources. They've put out numerous unverified claims and have even accused many people of being Russian agents. In fact, just a few months ago, a senator had to apologize after saying that the New York Attorney General was investigating Donald Trump and ties to Russia, and guess who his sources were? Well, according to journalist John Swain, it was Louis Mensch and a website called the Palmer Report. The latest story in this bizarre fake news infection is that Claude Taylor received information that he believed came from the New York Attorney General that Donald Trump's modeling agency was being investigated for sex trafficking. But guess what? This was a hoax. Taylor was tweeting out many of these unverified claims from this hoaxer. And not surprisingly, yeah, he didn't verify this information. The hoaxer is quoted by The Guardian as saying, "Taylor asked no questions to verify my identity, did no vetting whatsoever, sought no confirmation from a second source, but instead asked leading questions to support his theories, asking me to verify them." Now, according to The Guardian, after they reached out to Taylor for a comment, he issued a mea culpa, saying that he acknowledges his mistake and as a citizen journalist, he apologizes. Now, let me just stop right here and say, hold on. Citizen journalist? No, you are not a citizen journalist. Citizen journalism is when a random person stumbles across something newsworthy and then in the course of their normal citizenly behavior, publish something. But Claude Taylor has almost 200,000 followers and tweets this stuff on a regular basis. So no, he's not a citizen journalist. He's more like a pundit who received bad information and then relayed it to many people, thus helping spread fake news. But you know what? He apologized. And that's a great thing, seriously. A lot of news organizations don't retract, or a lot of journalists refuse to retract. And when called out, this guy flat out said, "This was wrong, I was hoaxed." And for that I say, hey, you gotta start somewhere. I'm not going to immediately assume that everyone's malicious, and I always try to point people back to Hanlon's razor. Never attribute to malice that which is easily explained by incompetence. This is just a guy who didn't vet information. He's not a professional journalist, doesn't really know what he's doing. So you know what? I'll say I forgive him for that, and I appreciate the apology, because that is the first step in helping make things better. Unfortunately, the apology doesn't fix the fact that many people are retweeting the story and believe it to be true. I mean, like I said, we saw a politician quoting this Russiasphere, as Vox calls it, these conspiracy theories. But this is where it gets interesting. People often ask, why would someone make fake news? Why would people produce this kind of content? Well, big news companies sell sponsorships, and so they want to attract viewers so they can make money. And these smaller blogs have ads, so yeah, they also want to make money. Seems like the common denominator for why someone would make fake news is going to be money. Now, before I go further, we can say, in terms of Claude Taylor and the people of the Russiasphere, whatever you want to call it, their motivations may very well be altruistic. They want to make the world a better place. They want to call out this perceived Russia conspiracy. They might just be a little paranoid. But their intentions might be good. They might just be wrong. And that's not an unfair assumption. But there's another assumption that they're just in it for personal gain. Now, I'm not going to accuse them of doing this specifically, but there are other people who are, which leads me to this interesting thread from somebody who clearly does not like this Claude Taylor guy. So first, let's talk about Claude Taylor's GoFundMe from not that long ago. Someone who supports him set up a GoFundMe, a fundraising page, so that he could do body work on his car. And they actually said that, it's partly because he's a cool dude. They initially planned to raise $5,000, but now they're up to $18,000. So let me say right now, hey, if people want to give him money for whatever reason, absolutely they're allowed to. If people support his work and they want to give him money, by all means, please do so. People want to live. People want to do more than just fund a direct, hyper-focused work. And if this guy says, you know what, I want to build a nice car, you know, and then people want to support him to do that, hey, more power to him. If you like the guy, there you go. Regardless, this GoFundMe has led to a lot of people criticizing him and going after him, saying that he's using his notoriety, he's using this anti-Trump work to raise money for his own personal endeavors. And this has led some Twitter account called Fraud Taylor to start scrutinizing his tweets and go after him, making some interesting accusations. This Twitter account is insinuating that Claude Taylor uses high-profile tweets and targeting and harassment in order to generate attention and make money for himself. He started a series of tweets where he looks at some really weird, I gotta say, it's just really weird. All right, so Claude Taylor tweeted that he wanted to paint a van to look like the Mystery Machine, you know, from Scooby-Doo, and that he would go to art events with it. He then started talking about potentially raising money and trying to figure out ways to get this van painted as such. Even talked about potential sponsorship, tweeting out advertising in support of a dealership that would do the work for him. Eventually, someone mentioned him setting up a GoFundMe, to which he responded that no, people have attacked him in the past for setting up, for having a GoFundMe about his car. The account goes on to insinuate that Claude Taylor began harassing high-profile individuals in order to trigger a lawsuit, because now Claude Taylor has announced he may be setting up a legal defense / Scooby-Doo van fund. Now, he's been criticized for this. Some people have said, don't raise money for your Scooby-Doo van. If you need legal defense, raise money for your legal defense. But he's flat out now using the hashtag, Scooby something, because he fully intends to raise money for a Mystery Machine van off of the back of those who would support him in his legal defense. So when we look at the bigger picture of why small companies make fake news and why big companies make fake news, it tends to be to build a following and to make money, to gain influence, to gain resources. And the accusation has been made against Claude Taylor that he's doing the same thing, that he might not actually believe the things he's saying, that he may just be looking for things to verify, things to prove himself in some way so that he can keep chucking along this Trump narrative, this Trump-Russia narrative, and then use a defense fund for a Scooby-Doo van. But this is not definitive. Of course, people are going to make accusations about someone. People make crazy accusations about me. And you can look at his Twitter feed and decide for yourself. Some people like the work he does, and they want to support him, even if that means allowing him to paint his van like the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine. He is entitled to do so. I got no beef with that. But when we look at a lot of the things he's put out, when we look at the things Luis Mensch has put out, this stuff is really, really problematic. As we see, this guy, Claude, he's influential. He's got a lot of followers, and he put out really bad information. And the saying goes that the lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has even put on his boots. And even though Claude has come out and corrected and acknowledged this mistake, you know that many, many people are not going to see the correction. This is one of the biggest problems with fake news. And aside from that, it's a big problem with people making mistakes. Taylor says that he apologizes, he made a mistake, he's not a professional journalist, he's a citizen journalist, he says. Therefore, we have to realize that there's going to be a lot of people who are influential, who put out bad information because they don't properly vet, they don't know how to do it, and they don't know what the standards are. Now, this is not me endorsing mainstream journalism, but we do have to realize that some people are going to be better than others, and they can come from all walks of life. But if people are going to put out bad information, if they're going to perpetrate hoaxes, we need to recognize this is a serious problem. Like I said, a senator on live television restated this fake news from Luis Mensch and the Palmer Report. And you have to realize that if a politician is going to say this on live TV, what are they doing behind the scenes? Writing up new policy based on news that was made up entirely? Activists hearing fake news and then going out and rioting out of anger and fear for a story that's not even true? This is all really, really troubling. And often when we talk about fake news, we try and figure out what the solutions are going to be. But the sad reality is people like confirmation bias. So just like we see Claude Taylor talking to this hoaxer, only trying to get information that would back his assumptions and opinions, as opposed to just asking for basic information or facts, the average person does the same thing as well. There's a skit they did on Google called If Google Was a Person, and someone says, do vaccines cause autism? And then the actor says, I've got 1 million results that say it does not, and 1 result that says it does. And the woman grabs the 1 sheet of paper and says, I knew it. This is what happens with everything. It's why conspiracy theories go crazy. And I'll say, obviously some conspiracies are real, but people will search for something. They'll find the one source that backs them up, and they will run with it. It's impossible for the average person to know if a million sources versus the one source are true, and that's why we need good journalism. Not fake journalists, not people with hundreds of thousands of followers who assume everyone is a Russian agent. But let me know if you have any solutions, because man, I think we're doomed. I'm gonna end most of these videos with, yeah, we're doomed, because I interviewed a guy, a counterintelligence guy at a hacker convention about it, and he said, yeah, we're doomed. So let me know what you think. Are we doomed? What do you think about Louis mentioned Claude Taylor? We'll keep the conversation going in the comments. If you like the video, click the like button. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Timcast. If you want to support the work that I do, go to timcast.com/donate. Give whatever you'd like or give nothing at all. My videos are always free and available every day at 4 p.m. But stay tuned. Sporadic live streams whenever I can crank them out. So possibly tonight. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow or maybe tonight.